Dear God, it's beautiful.
My god, it feels good to get excited about a game again. Baldur's Gate 3 has been out for about a month at this point, and it's no secret that it's pretty Baldur's great, and is definitely a contender for Game of the Year. This isn't a huge surprise, given that we had a peak of the game in early access, the crazy long development time it had, the successful Divinity games that it's building upon, and the fact that it's using the widely popular Dungeons & Dragons rulebook as its framework. But what makes Baldur's Gate stand out above the rest is that it's managed to reignite the spark of excitement in me that games used to elicit. And I know I'm not alone in this feeling. It's like eating a professionally cooked meal after eating nothing but toast. It's been so long since I've looked forward to logging back into a game every night, not because I feel the need to grind or just get to the next zone, but because I want to find out what happens in the story, what happens in my story. Too many games now feel like chores. Grind has replaced gameplay. Developers want to keep you playing for as long as they can by offering up repetitive content and slow dripping rewards like endless tasks make for endless fun. It's so funny that Baldur's Gate came out so shortly after Diablo 4 because it really highlights the differences between them. I can't even remember the story in Diablo because it made such little impact. Something about a demon mommy trying to kill her dad or something? I don't know. But this video isn't about how other games may fall short. This is about how Baldur's Gate is a reminder of the possible experiences that games are able to deliver. Story and characters are probably the main strengths of the Baldur's Gate experience. The characters, meaning here your companions, are 10 out of 10. Even the ones I didn't like at first, or found to be annoying because their salty attitudes, Lae'zel, grew on me eventually because they are so well written. There are no dull Jacob characters in this group. Each one feels complex, fully realized, and completely different from one another, especially when you consider their likes and dislikes. Here, it isn't as simple as good choice mean good person be happy. Someone like Shadowheart, for instance, can be totally fine with threats and killing to advance your own goals, but draws the line at killing just for the sake of it. Your companions comment on the events as they transpire, and each one's backstory weaves into your journey in a way that makes it hard for me to pick who to bring along because I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on even just one personal moment. And the romances, God, the romances. That's a whole video in and of itself, but suffice it to say, Jack may have to be concerned now that I've been introduced to Karlach. As for the story, there are many elements here that make it stand out, so I'm gonna lump a lot of them into just this category. For starters, this is a long one. While there are only 3 acts, there are easily over 30 hours of stuff in each to keep you busy. The maps aren't even that big, they are just densely packed with things to discover. It's a real display of quality over quantity. I don't need a map to take me an hour to run across it to make the world feel big. I just want to find memorable moments to engage with. In terms of the actual story, this central plot is interesting enough. In short, you are trying to remove a bug from your brain, and it follows the typical RPG arc of starting on a beach and then eventually killing God or gods to save the world. While pretty simple as a hook, it constantly pops up into almost everything you do, so it's always the front of your bug-infested mind. Even all the side adventures feel somewhat interconnected to your main problem instead of just being a string of unrelated issues that quickly drown out your main goal. Of course, you will still have plenty of moments of, oh shit, I was supposed to save so-and-so hours ago. There are so many encounters here that just pop up and stick with you. What brings the story to the next level is how Baldur's Gate really lets its D&D elements shine through. There are dungeons here, and there is at least one dragon. While it obviously can't implement the near limitless amount of possibilities that the tabletop game can, they surely do try. It always feels like you're able to play the character you want and drive the story in the direction that you choose, which is obviously a really important factor in any role-playing game. There are so many skills here at your disposal that you can go about solving problems in a variety of ways that make you feel clever for figuring it out. See a dead body? Go ahead and question it. Or ask a nearby animal, or read someone's mind, or use a disguise. Whatever. Of course, Morality plays into Baldur's Gate here, similarly to how it did in Divinity Original Sin, in that it's all a bit gray. Sure, some choices are a little more clear-cut than others, but eventually as you get deeper into the game, what's good becomes a little harder to discern, and I love it.
I love you too!
You know you have become absorbed into a game when you have to pause to really consider whether killing the swamp hag is the right thing to do or not. And everything you do, whether it be combat, exploration, or conversations, feel like part of the game and not a grind. You always feel like you are making progress, eliminating that feeling that you must squeeze out as much experience in any given situation as possible. To make up for the low level cap, you are constantly being rewarded with different pieces of gear, which is actually pretty unlike D&D. This is also handled super well, as the gear isn't drastically scaling up your power from 10 to 10,000. You'll be thrilled to find a weapon that gives you +1 damage, and over the moon if you ever get your hands on one that gives you +3. All this proves that you don't need a huge number of levels or massive scaling numbers to gain a sense of power progression. Small tweaks to skills or minor bonuses can be more than enough. There's honestly too much to say about this game, but in short, Baldur's Gate 3 has me hooked. It's an incredible piece of work with a ton of effort on display. I just want to see how the story plays out and then immediately, or concurrently, jump back into it and try it all again in different ways to see how it might play out differently, while of course still romancing Karlach every single time. Baldur's Gate 3 is a rare gem that was crafted under extraordinary circumstances. I would love to see more games like this, but I know it'll be quite some time before we ever get something like it again. Anyways, I have to get back to my adventures, so thanks for letting me talk gaming.